What's going on? This is Julian with the Game Fanatics, and we're back with another video. And it's been a while because we did a video together a while ago, didn't we?
It's been a hot one though.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but it's good to see another old face from the Game Fanatics. B Cash, how's it going, man?
It's going great. It's going great. Just living that LA dream in that state of emergency because all the rain, people freaking out because the flood.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're safe out there. I'm glad you're safe out there. We were just talking about some like cosplaying and stuff that he's been doing. Living, like you said, living your best nerd life. But speaking of that, we're going to talk about a couple things today, and we're going to start with the PlayStation State of Play for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which granted, I have a PS5. It's sitting over here. I haven't finished the first one yet. I don't know where I am, but I'm still pissed that it's not on Xbox. But we'll talk about more of that later. But you watched it. What do you think? What are you thinking about what you saw?
Yeah, we're coming hot off the heels because it only ended maybe about 15 minutes ago. So it's all real fresh. Keep in mind, it's not really completely processed in my head. But my initial thoughts were, I mean, I watched it because I needed to validate that demo was going to drop today. Because if there's a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo, I got to play it ASAP. I got that bad boy downloaded right now. So that was confirmed. But once that was confirmed, I should have checked out because it was mad spoilery. And of course, when you think about Final Fantasy VII, you're like, well, I mean, damn, the game's been out since 1997. What is there to spoil? But you know, if you're following the remake, you'll know that they're actually taking a fresh direction. And at the end of, spoiler, you just said you had finished. But at
I
the
don't
end,
care about spoilers. Yeah.
it really opened up the direction in which they could go.
Okay.
And so Rebirth is really embracing that entirely now. And so yeah, you'll see familiar beats, narratively speaking, character moments, and all that. But now it's really heavy-handed and like, this is gonna be way different than what you expected from the original. And I, like a lot of fans, could anticipate that, but I did not expect them to drop the gems and joints that were dropping in the State of Play because it was massively spoilery. So yeah, if you're listening and you wanted to check out that State of Play, maybe you missed it and you care about spoilers, definitely don't watch that because you're gonna have a lot.
Okay, yeah, I saw some people tweeting some things without context, so I had no idea what they were talking about. Like I said, I'm a huge, even it may not seem like it since I didn't finish the first one yet, but Final Fantasy VII on the original PlayStation really changed kind of like how I approached gaming. And I was a gamer before. Granted, I don't even know if they were calling people gamers back then. I didn't play it when it first released. I think I played it. I was in middle school, so for me it was like probably 99 ish when I played it. But it really changed the way that I kind of approached gaming. I went from like, Pokemon was an RPG, but I played Pokemon, then I played fighting games, maybe like NBA Street. It wasn't, and then like some party stuff, but that really got me into kind of that narrative type game. So I'm definitely going to be checking that out, and begrudgingly, I am going to buy it on my PlayStation because I have no other choice. But that actually segues perfectly.
You're about to get a lot of choices.
Yeah. My choices may dwindle. Well, they won't dwindle, but in one space it may. So I put up a video about this yesterday and about the announcement or the rumors at this point that certain games are coming to PlayStation, namely Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, and then the last kind of the biggest rumor, Starfield. And that's kind of going into these thoughts of just, okay, is Xbox going to be going full multi-platform full like publisher in the future. But yeah, so I talked about it a little bit. I want to see what you have to say. You texted me a little bit earlier, so I want to see what you think about Xbox games coming to PlayStation.
I think my initial thoughts were joy, because my primary platform is PS5, and I have a really good PC, but I got the hooks of the achievements sunk into me, the achievements and trophies sunk into me real early in the ecosystem, and so I kind of like just mounting up my trophies into just one place. Otherwise, if those didn't exist, I'd be on my Xbox more, I'd be on PlayStation more, but that's the main reason I just stick to the one. And my friends are mostly on that one platform, which is slowly not seeming to matter anymore now with like the Discord integration on PS5 and Xbox, and then the crossplay stuff. So this is another move towards that, but albeit it's probably the largest move, most impactful one that we've probably ever seen in the console space since Xbox first released. And so yeah, my initial reaction is joy, but I am concerned as far as monopolizing this space when there's already such a dominant player in that, being Sony, and then next up is Nintendo, which covers basically any niche that doesn't involve AAA titles. That's what concerns me, because I like Xbox. I like what Microsoft did with Game Pass. I like the competition. I've seen what it looks like without competition in the field, that being NBA 2K. That's another story, and it's not pretty. And I just really hope that this is opening doors and not necessarily closing them. I think I heard some of the commentary, which was less doom and gloom, and it was more of, well, this is something that Microsoft does. They make software, not hardware. That's where their emphasis has always been. They had the Surface and all these sorts of proprietary things, but really that's what they make their name off of. And now we're looking at more of like a limited window of exclusivity versus outright putting a wall up. So very similar to what we've seen PlayStation do with The Last of Us, their first party things, Spider-Man, which, hey, this is coming out for PS5. That's where we're focusing on. But 6 months from now, 1 year from now, it goes to PC. So I anticipate that being the move, especially if it's not just the onesie twosies, and more of like, Halo Infinite is also going to drop. Like, they're just looking at all the first party titles, making that transition. And I don't see them getting out of the game completely with that, but rather opening up their exclusivity space, and that way they can, start making back that money from those big acquisitions. So I just had a conversation with a couple friends, like right before jumping on here, and even though I don't necessarily want this to happen, I'm not completely negative on it. I understand. It makes sense why. So I definitely understand that piece. But I think my main, it's some of the same concerns about the monopolizing and things like that. I don't want to see a space where the Xbox console isn't here anymore, mainly because there's a piece of that. Like, I'm not a toxic fan. If I was, I wouldn't have a PlayStation. I'm not a toxic fanboy or anything like that. But I feel like that competition just kind of felt good, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like it pushed each company in different ways. So is this going to stop some of that, not evolution, but innovation? Will Sony be like, okay, I'm going to charge $80 for games now? I don't think they will. But I also think that I don't think Sony would allow like something like Game Pass to actually be on PlayStation. I think it takes too much shine away from them. And I think from a third party, I think because they're not third party anymore, they bought them. But like when looking at Bethesda, I think games like Starfield, Redfall, they'll probably, I think, depending on how those games do in the first year, I think that's how they're going to decide
if they go to other consoles. And
That
I
was
really
my
think,
thought.
yeah, and I think this is coming from above. I don't think this is. I feel like if Phil Spencer was the sole person kind of thinking about this, yes, he wants to get games in people's hands, but I think this is a Microsoft decision.
Yeah, there was rumblings about that early on, that it was Microsoft CEO that was sort of pressuring Xbox Division to sort of make this move.
Mm-hmm.
And just everything that I know about what, Jim Spencer, is it? No,
Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer.
No,
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, why can't I remember it? Everything I know here from Phil Spencer, it does allude to him being, for one, a passionate gamer himself, understanding the competitive landscape that exists within the console world. But then also, like, not that he's not open-minded, as you alluded to, but definitely has a pride in the Xbox brand. And I think that a little bit chips away at that, or erodes at sort of that pride, and how much, I think, how much space they made and created through, like, say, the Xbox Game Pass. And then also breeding competition, right? When the original Xbox came out, it was cutting edge graphic technologies for consoles, whereas Sony and Nintendo, that wasn't really their focus. They were more emphasized on, like, say, gameplay. And I think Xbox really pushed that, like, tech space, and saying, like, no, we're starting to blur that line between a console and a PC. And we saw that as a continuation as the cycles continued. And it's just, I think, unfortunate that we're not able to see the manifestation, jump to today, of a lot of these acquisitions, because, as you know, it takes a long time to make video games. And really, in the video game world, it may be 1, 2, 3 years since they acquired some of these companies, but it takes years to develop a game. So I wouldn't have even expected them to drop, or really just kind of look at the cost benefit until, like, the next gen of consoles. But now it just we're looking at it purely from a financial standpoint, and they want to make good on that money now for these huge acquisitions now. And that's just sort of my hunch on it. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm ambivalent, because that sounds like almost completely removed. Because I do have passion in the space, but yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic, I think, as far as where this goes.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think the console itself is going anywhere soon, but, like, I think a hypothesis that I have is that if next week they come out and was like, oh yeah, we're eventually going to get rid of the console, I think they lose in the grand scheme of things, because we're like the vocal minority, but I think they lose the space for Xbox, the brand, because I feel like it's so much, like, I think people are going to go from backing a box to kind of being more fans of games, which is probably the way it should be anyway. But small things like wearing an Xbox hoodie, or like these Xbox shoes that they're sitting up there, I don't want to get them, but these Xbox shoes I have, like, I wouldn't have a want or need to buy that type of stuff anymore. Now, I'm sure that's probably a minuscule piece of the business, but those champions of the brand, or they're almost like, do you remember that guy for Apple? I think his name was like Guy Kawasaki. He's like the Apple evangelist. I don't think they'll have those people, or like granted, I don't know if we have anybody like that on the Xbox side, but like Hip Hop Gamer, there's no space for the personalities like that on that Xbox side anymore. I think without a box, which is entertaining, it's fun, it's, I don't know, it's just cool. I think we lose a little bit of the fun. I mean, and we kind of saw that these last few RIP E3s that without that competition, or people kind of leaving that space, like even EA doing their own thing, Nintendo being iffy about what they're going to do, Sony leaving E3, Xbox going over to the theater. I think that's like, these things, you're just seeing like a change in the gaming space. It's kind of sad, but I don't think I want to see the box go away for that reason specifically. But at the end of the day, companies have to make money. So
you're right, and that, I think that's probably the most realistic scenario if the rumors are true, is that Xbox itself and in the division starts to sort of take the backseat, and then over the years and over time, because of its less, because it has less prevalence in the gaming space, I think it eventually gets replaced in a way that's still familiar, but as you said, like not now the whole Xbox thing is vintage.
yeah,
I think that they still want to market to those individuals, you know, the hip hop gamers of the world, and still appeal to them. I'm not saying it'll work or won't work. We'll have to see, or that's the scenario. But what I would say is that they would stick to something that's familiar and then just sort of gravitate or ease into something different. For example, instead of Xbox, you know, they'll say, you know, Game Pass, X Pass, you know, they'll maybe try to throw the little X in there. But I think because they're leaning into the software, that being Game Pass, I think that's more likely to sort of become the next evolution of whatever transpires here versus the Xbox brand, because it'd be a misnomer, right? It wouldn't even make sense if they're not pushing a box. You know, if the plan is to eventually get out of the hardware space, it doesn't make sense. Now, what could happen is them making something a la like Steam Deck, you know, something that's more of like you taking the utilitarian approach, like I can take my Xbox, you know, my little Xbox anywhere I want, you know, it's more like a PC now. But I think the home console system, you know, just in itself becomes a niche. And I don't think PlayStation necessarily follows that, but I think PlayStation is very well aware of the evolution of this, because, you know, they kicked that dog shit what is it, the remote play thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, yo, if you got a backbone, that's like a third of the price and it does the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But they're aware, instead of making a Vita, you know, they're trying all these other
things. I saw that. Yeah.
You know, so their competitors are aware. They're starting to make moves. Obviously, Nintendo was trailblazing in that regard. But I think the next generation of consoles, you know, if they're still called consoles, is going to look very different than what we've seen in these past few.
Yeah. You know what? Now, you have some other thoughts flowing in my head about kind of like a dockable, almost like a Switch, but like the base having more power, and like because another reason I don't think the console is going anywhere yet, because at this moment, any other platform where you can play Xbox games that's not an Xbox, you can't play your games that you own digitally. So that's why I don't think anything is going to happen anytime soon, because that'll be a lawsuit. But the final question I have, and somebody kind of posed this on a different podcast, because in reality, I think Microsoft did something that I don't think is possible again, and that's bringing a new console to the market when you already have two powerhouses in the space. But that's kind of the question. Do you think if Xbox kind of gets out of that space, any company has that power or that prestige to kind of like, here's another physical item to compete against mainly Sony, but Sony and Nintendo?
I couldn't name the specific company, but there certainly would be a void that I would see a lot of companies and brands clamoring to try and fill. I think a modern example of that was again the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck, while awesome and like powerful little device, it's great. We saw so many alternatives come out even before the Steam Deck actually officially launched. We saw a lot of similar devices kind of, surround it as far as release windows go. And that's by no coincidence. And I think that it's all a matter of timing on how successful those sorts of things would be. Because I think that, for instance, when the Steam machine first came out, I actually think it was ahead of its time. I don't think we were ready for something like that. But now if we did Steam Machine today, I think that there would be much more, because the Steam Machine essentially was like an Xbox Series S. So And so I think that it's going to be a matter of just timing and what market demands. But I think that there are going to be alternatives. You know, they throw their hat in the rings on the console. If Xbox decides to truly, what the rumors say, leave the physical hardware space, I don't think that means that there's going to be one less competitor, one less large competitor for sure. But you know, I'll see that as an opportunity for others to sort of get involved, and a lot of Xbox fans may be disenfranchised at that point. They're like, hell no, I'm going to PlayStation. Like they might just really be truly against that and may not economically be able to afford a PC as an alternative. So I think there will be alternatives that will come to try to fill that void as sort of a competitor for you know, this what is it, the Sega to the Nintendo essentially.
You
know.
So we're definitely going to keep our ears to the ground with this. So maybe we should follow back up next week after Microsoft and Xbox say what they need to say. We'll do another one of these, but definitely appreciate you taking the time. Good having you back. I mean, that's all I had to say. So this has been Julian, B Cash, Game Fanatics, and we'll see you next time.